and rather direct that the minister goes through what has become known as a pre-laying ritual, so that after that, the laying is done. Mr. Speaker, you can give them 14 days, 7 days, whatever, as it pleases the minister, to allow for that consultation to be done. That said, I am in principle in support of all steps that government intends to take to ensure that we preserve our forests.
So after the minority leader has spoken, there was a clash between the former lands minister Samuel Abu Jinapor and the current environment minister Murtala Mohammed.
The former lands minister came in to support the minority leader's position that there must be pre-laying. But in making his commentary, he did claim that NDC officials and other persons have taken over the forest in the country and are mining. But that is when Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed retorted that even if there are persons who are still mining in forest reserves across the country, it was because Samuel Abu Jinapor, as Minister for Lands, actually signed on to those licenses, allowing those persons to go to the forest to mine. And that is why they are seeking to put this LI on, to lay it in Parliament to actually get to the point where no one gets a license or a permit to mine in the forest reserve.
Support the position of the minority leader, the Speaker, on the need for some pre-laying procedure. And the Speaker, the point about this provision being a one-clause provision, Mr. Speaker, really, if you look at the national constitution and you look at the provision of the Constitution which vests all mineral rights in the President, Mr. Speaker, and you look at other statutory interventions, Mr. Speaker, the previous government, I had the privilege of being minister. The previous government announced publicly, the Attorney General actually took steps in the course of the 8th Parliament to effect this same amendment. But, Mr. Speaker, the point is, the need for this pre-laying is all because the submissions made by the Honorable Majority Leader and the Honorable Minister for Education, Mr. Speaker, in some respects, does not contextualize the issue, because the President has the right under the national constitution, under statute, to exercise a discretion for mining to take place in a forest reserve. Mr. Speaker, as we speak today, the 18th of March, Tuesday, mining is happening almost in all the forest reserves of our country. Today.
By your direction, I think that my worry is the comments made by my brother, the former minister for lands, when he indicated that mining is actually going on in the forest area. It's true, but he issued those permits. He issued those permits, and what we are seeking to do, he issued them. He issued them, and what we are seeking to do is to ensure that people do not engage in such mining.
Well, Kweku, so I mean, after all these debate in Parliament again about whether there has to be a pre-laying or whatever, the Speaker of the House had to come to a conclusion. What was that decision taking?
Well, yes, it was decision time, and First Deputy Speaker Bernard Ahiafa was presiding. He sided with the minority on this matter and said pre-laying was a time-honored principle in Parliament, and despite this being a non-controversial matter, he still believes that the subsidiary legislative committee of Parliament must be seized with the matter. He has, however, given them very strict timelines to report back to the House on Thursday, or he will allow the minister to lay their lie.
Honourable members, we all know the constitutionality of pre-laying, but for a good reason. The practice and the convention is that before the instrument is introduced, it is subjected to a pre-laying consideration, owing to the fact that by a lot of Supreme Court authorities, once the document is laid, you can dot I or cross T unless you have two-thirds majority in line with Article 11.7 to annul it. Honourable members, we know the agency involved in the ally before us, but with all due respect, I will want to direct and urge upon the subsidiary legislation committee to, as a matter of urgency, conduct a pre-laying within 3 days and report to the House on Thursday. Honourable members, with all due respect, we established the practice to be conducting a pre-laying consideration. So, having regard to the agency involved, honourable members, let's give ourselves for some pre-laying consideration. Then the ally can be laid, and once it is laid, the report will come. If the report did not come after 21 sitting days, then it will mature as law, unless before maturity we have two-thirds majority to annul it. So, honourable members, I will plead that we subject the ally to an urgent pre-laying consideration.
So that was the speaker there giving that ruling there. This is still Top Story, brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies and holding insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Let's bring in Murtala Mohammed Ibrahim, who is Minister of Environment, Science and Technology. Grateful to you for joining us here. Now, what happens to companies who were legally allowed if this particular amendment passes?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Ibrahim Murtala, you're still here with me. I can hear you clearly. I don't know if you can hear me now.
I can hear you now.
Great. So I wanted to find out from you, what happens to companies who were given legal permission to be in the forest after this amendment passes?
Well, I may not be able to tell you, clearly what would happen, but I think that once the law is passed, because we are hoping that on Thursday, the committee shall finish with the work for the purposes of the pre-laying, and the proper laying of same will be done on the same day, because mine is just one clause. Once that thing is done, once it is laid on Thursday, we'll start counting. And at the moment we get 21 days, it becomes law. But as to whether it would have an effect on those who had permits, and were engaged in mining in forest areas or not is another matter. But if you ask me, as the Minister for Environment, I think that it should have effect on all those who are mining forest areas. Because the moment that law is passed, it then becomes illegal for anybody to engage in any mining activity in the forest areas.
But what we are made to understand is that law it doesn't have retrogressive effect.
Well, when you are in extreme realities, you need extreme resolutions. What use or benefit will it be to the state when this law is passed, and then those who are causing the havoc in the forest areas are allowed to continue doing the same? What would be the use of the law or the amendment we are seeking to do?
But wouldn't that also open government up for legal suits for those who have been legally given permission to be in there?
Well, first and foremost, myself and my colleague Minister for Land and Natural Resources, we shall soon be indeed constituting a committee, one, to audit some of the permits that were issued by the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. And I say this because between 7th December up to the time, the previous administration handed over to the NDC government, President Mahama, 55 permits licenses were issued. Why would anyone want to do this? Between 7th of December to 7th of January, about 57 permits were issued by the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. And they had EPA. Mind you, the new EPA law, before you get any permit, the EPA permit is precondition for any permit or license anybody should get. I have had some discussion with Professor Brown Kuluchi. Since she took over, she has never signed any permit. And that is why I think that they have been called for some proper auditing to be done on the licenses that were issued, particularly those that were issued after 7th of December.
We can have the confirmation that the LI has been given to the necessary committee to do the work, right?
Yes. In fact, I submitted it. The committee for subsidiary and legislation would sit on it. Once we have the pre-laying done, and the pre-laying is just to look at the issues, the rationale behind, the committee will sit. If there are some clarifications they are seeking, they get, and then they'll be provided with the answers before the laying is done. In fact, the reason why we were demanding that the laying be done today, if you listen to Honorable Ayaka, the majority leader, it's just one clause. And for as far as we are concerned, there isn't any debate on it whatsoever. Mind you, when you have the minority leader himself saying that on principle he was not against, the amendment that we are seeking. So why were you not willing to allow it being laid? Well, it's just one clause.
All right.
It's not like many other clauses in it where you think that they may have an effect. And we all agree.
I'm grateful.
Except that maybe perhaps they were not being sincere as to whether they agreed the amendment be done.
I'm grateful. Do stay with me. Let me now bring in Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo. He's former Minister, Lands and Natural Resources. Grateful to you for joining us here, Mr. Jinapo. Now, you argue, or your point is that this amendment is something your government wanted to do. True?
Yeah, that is correct.
Now, so if that's the case, why then are you arguing that you want a pre-laying to do a thorough interrogation and discussion as to how this amendment can be formulated when it's something you wanted to do when you were in government?
Well, thank you very much. And let me say good evening to your cherished listeners. The point I sought to make on the floor of Parliament was very simple. The minority leader insisted on a pre-laying of this LI because, in his view, that is the precedent or the practice which has been established in the House. I don't quarrel with that, and I don't particularly have any more comment on that. But I shot on my feet when the majority leader made the point that this LI 2462 was to take away the discretion of the president to mandate mining in forest reserves. And I said, look, gentlemen and ladies, let us be careful how we construe this LI and the processes that we are going to go through. Because one, the LI 2462 was intended to curtail the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources' powers to grant indiscriminately mineral rights for mining purposes in forest reserves, and sought to protect areas such as biodiversity areas, protected areas, high sanctuary, cultural sites, among others. So a repeal of this LI actually gives the minister unfettered authority and mandate pursuant to the Minerals and Mining Act 206, Act 703, to grant mineral rights for mining in all parts of our country, including forest reserves. And I made the point that if you look at Article 2576 of our national constitution, all minerals are vested. All minerals in their natural state are vested in the president. And when you look at Act 703, specifically Section 5, the Minister for Land is exercising a delegated power from the president to grant, mineral rights in respect of minerals, mining in any form or shape. And therefore, the repeal of LI 2462 does not preclude the Minister for Lands from granting licenses or rights for persons or companies to mine in forest reserves. On the contrary, it takes away the fetter. It gives you unfettered mandate and authority to grant mining in almost all parts of our forests, including biodiversity area, protected area, high sanctuaries, cultural. So I made the point that, look, let's be careful. Even though the previous government wanted to repeal this LI, and of course I was part of it, the Attorney General even brought a memorandum to Parliament and so on and so forth. The indication or the representation that the repeal of this LI 2462 is what will prevent mining in forests is erroneous.
So
I think,
yeah, make that point.
And therefore, I think that this pre-laying will give all of us the opportunity, stakeholders, to discuss this matter in detail, if indeed and in fact it is about preventing mining in our forest reserves, so that we can nuance it in a way that will achieve the intended purposes. And I concluded by saying, my friend, that today, as we speak, anybody, and of course, I've made this thing publicly, the new minister, Honorable Kofi Amamwa, is somebody I respect a lot, and I think that he has the credentials and he should be able to contribute to the fight against this mining. It goes beyond him. I've said it already, and therefore I don't want to begin to second guess his work or what he's doing or what they can. But I've said that as we speak today, our forest reserves are under siege.
Okay, that's fine. But Sami, this is a precedent, and this amendment is coming out of a lot of cries from several Ghanaians that LI has to be repealed. And the president and his government say we want to amend that particular provision. Why not give the government that wish they are looking for, and watch out whether in the presence of this amendment they will still allow mining in any forest reserve in Ghana?
My friend, the president, His Excellency the President, will have his wish. LI 2462 will be repealed. The minority in Parliament will support him for the LI to be repealed. The minority that said so clearly. Hansard will bear me out. Indeed, and in fact, the NPP government, the SWAL NPP government, took steps to repeal LI 2462. That is not my contention. My contention is that the claim or the suggestion that the repeal of this LI is what will prevent the minister from granting or the president from granting licenses for people to mine in forest reserves, with the greatest of respect, is erroneous. It will not. That's not what will do that.
Okay.
Because the Constitution is clear, Act 703 is clear, and as we speak today, mining is taking place in the forest reserves of our country. So if that's what we want to achieve, let us have a more holistic interrogation of the pathway to achieve that. That's all my point.
Okay, all right. So now that the bill, I'm told, has been given you, that provision that they want to amend has been given to you, the committee. Yes, has been given to you to go through. What sort of changes do you envisage to bring to it to ensure that we tie the hands of president and any member of the government in giving any access to persons to mine in the forest reserve?
Well, first of all, the LI is not been given to us. No, it's not been given. It's not the minority which is demanding the LI. The practice and procedure of the House is that when you are laying an LI,
it must be given to the committee.
Because the House cannot amend the LI when it is laid. There's a procedure of pre-laying where the LI is referred to the subsidiary legislation committee of Parliament. So what the Speaker has done is to refer it to the subsidiary legislation of Parliament for them to use 3 days to examine it and bring it back to the House. And we will support the President and the Minister for Environment, my good friend the Minister for Environment, to get this LI repealed. In any event, we wanted this LI amended as a government. We don't have a problem with that.
I get it, but my question to you was, what do you envisage to happen in order to prevent or to tie the hands of anybody in government to give access to persons to mine in the forest reserves, as you wanted to do?
Yes, exactly. That's a very brilliant question. It's a very good question, in fact. I'm not too sure I'll have the answer all by myself. I think we all have to come around and have a national dialogue and discourse and come to the conclusion as to how we treat our forest reserves. I don't support indiscriminate mining in forest reserves. This government committed to ban all forms of mining in forest reserves. I don't know to what extent they've gone with that. But the erroneous impression that the repeal of this LI or the amendment of this LI is what will achieve that objective or is what will fulfill that promise, I'm saying that it's not correct. That is not what will fulfill that promise. If we want to ban mining in forest reserves, all forms of mining forest reserves, as the government promised, I believe that there is a much the effective, efficacious route we can take to be able to ban mining in our forest reserves. That's all the point I saw to make.
All right. I'm grateful to you, Samuel Abujinapo, for joining us here. Now, Mutala, so the point is, what is entailed in this particular provision that you want to amend? What you've given to the committee, and how does that prevent mining in forest reserves?
Well, if it was so simple that repealing this LI will not prevent people from mining in forest reserve areas, why did they pass it in the first place? Maybe you should have asked him. Why did they pass it in the first place?
Okay.
And two. Why did they pass it in the first place? And two, the fact that there is so much mining, particularly in the forest areas, which has generated a huge concern from Ghanaians, civil society organizations, and others. A listening government should listen to them. And all the experts have raised concerns about that we need to do something about it because the destruction usually is taking place in these forest areas.
I get it, Mr. Minister, but I wanted to find out from you. You know this LI, you've seen it. I want us Ghanaians to all be part of this process. So what is in this LI that would prevent people from mining in forest reserves when it's passed?
Well, first and foremost, even before the LI, of course, there were people who were engaged in some mining in forest reserve areas, which was not good. But the LI opened the Pandora box for people to go there under the guise of doing legitimate mining at the expense of the environment, the forest areas, our survival. The president who is given that authority to determine whether anybody can mine there says that I don't want that authority.
Okay, all right.
That privilege given to me, I don't want it any longer.
Okay, all right. I'm grateful to you, Murtala Mohammed Ibrahim. He is Minister, Environment, Science and Technology. Dr. Kenneth Ashibe is convener Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Doc, what do you make of what's happening? Now, the argument is you have to prelay. The prelay has been allowed. The Speaker says, I'm giving up to Thursday. What's your expectation?
Well, the interesting thing is that for civil society, we were looking at a revocation of the LI. But I see that from what the two members of parliament and the former minister and the current minister are talking about, it looks as if it is an amendment. So it would really be important to find out what exactly in the LI are they amending, and whether it goes far enough to deal with the mischief that this particular law has created. There's been various positions that have been done. The Ghana Institute of Foresters, for example, on the 28th of November, issued a petition against that. As you know, myself and a few of the CSOs are even in court about this whole LI as well. So it would be important to find out what exactly is in it. So ideally, I would wish that this particular draft instrument that is going to be laid would be shared to all of us, so that we can then find out whether it goes far enough in its amendment, in beyond the issue of just the president being able to grant permits to go into areas including significant biodiversity areas. Other concerns that we have been taken care of. So it will really be important to see that.
Okay. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Dr. Kenneth Ashibe is convener Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. This has been Top Story, brought to you by Telecel and Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Cabinet Nest is Newsnight.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, former finance minister fights back, mounting strong defense in justification of Akufo-Addo government spending of over 16 billion cedis tax refund account funds following accusations the previous government turned the account into a slush fund.
You have to spend it. And so I don't know what it means by that. If it's been spent, it says 16 billion has been spent.
What did you spend
it on? Spent through the consolidated fund or not?
Do you spend it to the consolidated fund?
Well, I'm waiting for them to come out with what they think we have spent it on.
We have details plus join issues learning the Chamber of Mines is set to meet Parliament's Finance Committee to register a strong objection to government's move to increase tax on the sector.
The companies have not complained.
They have. They have written to my committee, the Finance Committee.
They have?
Yes.
But they were consulted.
They want to come and meet the Finance Committee on Wednesday.
And also tonight, Energy Ministry races against time to prevent the shutdown of some plants by independent power producers as it blames power sector challenges on huge inherited debts.
Yes, some of the IPPs have threatened to shut down. But some of them even shut down. We had to appeal to them. Because the debt we've inherited, it's just impossible to pay all the debts at a go.
In business, more oil marketing firms reduce prices at the pumps as concerns grow about the margin of reduction.
And in sports, all 23 players present as Black Stars intensify training ahead of the World Cup qualifiers against Chad and Madagascar. We'll bring you the latest from the Accra Sports Stadium.
And later, Small Arms Commission launches an all-out crackdown in Boku and other volatile areas, vowing to root out illegal weapons and dismantle criminal networks.
It shouldn't take too long. You are going to see us on your streets. You are going to see us in your backyard with our weapon detection system. This system detects only weapons. Boku is on our radar. You will well and see.
Plus your views and comments all here on Newsnight 05511119997. It's the WhatsApp line. Join us with your thoughts right after this.
No gari, no oil, no plantain, just beans then eggs.
Hey, brah, that be dangerous combination, no?
Problem no day. I feel handle am.
For Telecel, with the Bob say everybody gets what they like. That be why Made For Me bundles day. Based on your usage, you fit get your own data and call packages. Fala! Made For Me bundles like the way you the want them. That *530# then buy Made For Me bundles today.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Where do your hopes and dreams take flight? The money you've earned, the future shining bright. At Petra, we're not just here for your retirement plan. We are here for the life you've imagined and then some. From your child's education to your dream home's door, we'll help you achieve what you're striving for. Petra is here, steady and strong. Your wealth in safe hands, where it belongs. With investments that grow at rates that compete, we build your future with every heartbeat. That's Petra, your partner. Come joy or strife, guiding you toward the dreams that define your life. For your pensions, investments, loans, and more, visit our website at petraonline.com or dial *447 *70#. Petra. Achieve more.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Dana kron kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Brush your teeth every day and night. Up and down and all around. Brush your teeth and bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
For 10 times stronger.
This advert is FDA approved.
It's alive, your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM. I'll be sharing your thoughts with the rest of the world pretty shortly. 055-11-11997. Yes, it's the day when Parliament began the debate on the 2025 budget. We'll be taking you live to the House pretty shortly. Ahead of that, last week when the Finance Minister presented the budget, you remember that bombshell he dropped about the alleged misuse and misapplication of that 16 billion cedis that was left in the tax refund account. He actually made the point that it was turned into a slush fund. Tonight, we're hearing from the former Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, who has been justifying his government's use of the funds in that particular account. Now, as you may well know, that is also a subject of the OSP investigations. In fact, Ken Oforiatta is now a wanted man, or was a wanted man, and has been probed by the OSP partly because of the alleged misuse of those funds in the tax refund account. The minister, speaking on PM Express, says the account has become a slush fund and was used by the previous administration for purposes not authorized by law.
43% was used largely for tax refund. And so largely less than 50% of the tax refund amount has been used for the purposes of tax refund. Then I came out to ask them a question. Can you tabulate for me year in, year out in the last 8 years how they have applied the 57%? To my surprise, once again, the money was largely misapplied and used for things that were not supposed to be used. And I said, this practice cannot continue. And so we are going to put a stop. And to put a stop, we said, okay, to start with, we'll take 2% of the 6% and bring it down to 4%. That 2% this year alone is giving me 3.8 billion cedis. The way and manner that account had been misused, we need to look into it. We definitely have to look into it, because this is against the PFM Act and it's against the Enabling Act, the Revenue Administration Act itself. And the way and manner that account has been abused and raped over the last 8 years is very regrettable.
Well, former Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam has been responding to that. He has been standing their ground, insisting they did nothing wrong by using the funds the way they chose to use it, partly to pay contractors.
6% of the government revenue is set aside so that they can refund applications for tax refund. But any part of that which is not used for tax refund is used, like we do regularly with government budget.
But there's a legislation that governs the use of the fund.
Yes, but the legislation that allows.
If you don't use it, it has to return to the consolidated fund.
But the consolidated fund is what I'm talking about. You have to spend it. And so I don't know what it means by that. If it's been spent, it says 16 billion has been spent.
What did you spend
it on? Was it spent through the consolidated fund or not?
Do you spend it through the consolidated fund?
Well, I'm waiting for them to come out with what they think we have spent it on. I was not able to.
He was categorical that you did not spend it in the consolidated fund. You spent it for something else other than what it was meant for and specified under the law.
Well, I don't know. I'm waiting to see which areas he will say.
So he mentioned one. He mentioned one.
Yeah.
Paying contracts. Contracts.
For what?
That has been awarded by the state.
Yes.
XML. He says, for example, use part of that to also pay XML.
Yes.
The law doesn't specify that.
But what
that
is the
should
consolidated
happen.
fund used for? The consolidated fund is used to pay for the execution of contracts. All the projects that are being done across the country are done through contracts. And when the contracts are executed, they are paid for. The road contracts, services contracts, etc., etc. And so if the law allows a part of the tax refund, which has not been used for tax refund, to be used through the consolidated fund, that's exactly what the government did. And so I'm really surprised why he said so, even to suggest that he's making savings out of that in order to, somehow cover up for the revenue losses from the scrapping of some taxes. There is no savings here because
I guess
it is already part of government revenue. Except that we were doing 6% as per the law. He is asking that they will do 4%, and therefore he's asking for the law to be changed. the 2% was already part of government revenue. It is not new revenue that will come in.
His former boss, Ken Ofori-Atta, is currently being investigated by the OSP for this same alleged misuse of the tax refund account funds. Now, we also heard from him defending Ken Ofori-Atta's actions. He says he will be vindicated.
I'm not going to discuss Ken Ofori-Atta, but I know that Ken is capable of defending himself, and he will defend himself in the right court.
You spoken to him recently? You spoken to him recently? Have you spoken to him recently?
No, I'm not going to discuss what is happening between Ken and myself. Evans, why should I?
Okay.
Mohammed boss, he did his best for this country, and one day he'll be vindicated.
Okay.
Well, there's another controversial subject he has also been speaking to. Government's proposed increase of the growth and sustainability levy, which is targeted at the mining firms from 1% to 3%. Amin Adam says the firms have already begun mounting strong objections and have written to his committee in Parliament to get a hearing.
Understand that you increase taxes on that sector by about 200%.
But the extractive sector is pretty broad. There's also the oil and gas sector that hasn't been touched.
Yeah, but if you
There's a mining sector because of the windfall. Gold prices of gold have gone up. They're making windfall. They should pay part of that.
The contracts
it's a fair
we
share
sign
of
with
that.
them, the mineral contracts we sign with
stability clauses.
Yes, but also they have provisions on how you capture windfall through the additional oil entitlement, for example. It is there in the contract.
But they were consulted.
If you want to get more money from the companies, sit down and negotiate the mineral agreements which you negotiated with them.
But you're crying more than the bereaved.
No, but
the
cannot.
companies have not complained.
They have. They have written to my committee, the finance committee.
They have?
Yes.
But they were consulted.
They want to come and meet the finance committee on Wednesday because they have issues with that.
In this particular handle?
issue. Yes. They are coming on Wednesday to meet our committee to discuss their concerns about this. Right. And I'm saying that apart from this, there are other industries that are affected by that very tax, the growth and sustainability levy, because they have also extended the period. The sunset clause was removed and extended to 2028.
Yeah. There have been intense budget commentary on the floor of Parliament today. I will take you to Parliament shortly, but I want to bring in Suleiman Akone. He's the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines and joins us for a quick chat on this proposed legislation that would increase the tax burden on his members from 1% to 3%. Thank you, Mr. Akone, for your time here on Newsnight. Clarify for me, were you consulted before we had this in the budget last week, Tuesday?
Evan, thank you very much for the opportunity. Blunt answer is we were not consulted, we were informed on the eve of the reading of the budget. Minister for Finance pleaded with us to see the economics in that state. It is not that because mining companies are not paying enough, not that mining companies are cheating the state, but the fact that we are in a big hole and it needed support. So that was the conversation we had. We pleaded that ideally we should have had more time to discuss the nuances, because you see the industry is not monolithic. And we also appreciate the fact that some mining companies are really struggling. You see some suppliers coming to see me directly and myself, complaining bitterly with the fact that they've not been able to get payment from some mining companies. So yes, you could see prices actually strengthening, but business is not just about pricing. And who taxes just price?
You're talking about prices. I mean, let's put it in context. This, for many, is the large mining firms paying your fair share and carrying your fair share of the burden. March last year, we're talking about an ounce going for 2,156. As we speak currently, it's in excess of 3,000. That clearly is something that we should be tasking you on. You're sharing the burden with all ordinary members of the public.
Agreed, and we believe that we continue to contribute our fair share of the price of gold. But to go ahead and just price, hello?
I can hear you.
To just go ahead because you've seen the price of gold inching up and then go straight to tax the price and not the margin that mining companies make. It's unbelievable. Because the expectation is that mining companies are making money, but they only make money when they benefit from the price and to deduct the expenses. Here we are assuming that the expenses will stay flat. And I have demonstrated to you companies whose operations are so much now, to the extent that they have suppliers trooping to my office almost every day. And then you also have some of these companies going out there. A few weeks ago, they were in Toronto at the PIDA looking for investors. And some of these investors, potential investors, have been introduced to me. So it's a worrying signal we are sending out there to the investor community as far as mining in Ghana is concerned. And we can't take our industry for granted at all.
So you've written to the Finance Committee of Parliament?
We have written to the Finance Committee.
What are you asking
we'll have
for?
a conversation with them.
What are you asking for?
We are asking for a full disclosure on the benefits of mining, because the first thing to do is to understand what we are getting. But per our calculation, the government, the state is not getting less than 60% of the profits of the industry. So once that is established, then you are measured regarding what more you actually ask for. So the first thing to do for all of us as a nation is to really understand what we are getting. Don't forget, you are talking about a corporate tax profit of 35%. Generic is what, 25%. So when you are talking about an industry, an extractive industry, and this applies to both oil and gas and mining, you are talking about an industry which is already paying a premium on corporate tax. On top of that, you have a 5% mineral royalty, even before any deduction. You consider so many other payments that mining companies are making. You put everything together relative to their profit, it comes to at least 60%. And the World Bank tells us that the band of 40 to 60% is ideal. So we are at the top level of that margin. And that's why for us, you need to take your time, understand the industry, because just the pricing alone doesn't mean that the mining company is making money.
Thank you very much. That there is Suleiman Akone, the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines. I want to take you to Parliament now. My parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante, is joining me now because today there's been a very, very heated conversation on the floor of Parliament on the 2025 budget. We've been calling it parliamentary the budget debate. It isn't, because something fundamentally has changed. It is more of commentary. Kweku, explain.
Well, yes, if you look at the way budget have always been presented in the past, the budget is presented by way of a motion. That is why there is always a vote at the end of the debate to approve it. And that is why 2 years ago, the minority managed to reject the 2024 budget, because there was a debate that came by way of the Minister of Finance moving a motion. The laws and the rules have changed for the Finance Minister to present the budget simply by a statement. And in Parliament, when a statement is presented, you comment on it, you don't debate on it, and it does not end up in a debate ultimately. And so before the start of the commenting, which MPs themselves have taken it as a liberty to debate, the leaders haggled over that and whether or not the Speaker of Parliament must be invited to make a new ruling on this matter. Ultimately, the first Deputy Speaker who was presiding overruled all those concerns and asked that the debate or whatever the MPs are going to say should be by way of commenting, and that is what has happened. And ultimately, we've been hearing from the minority who say that the government's priorities does not align with the expenditures they've made and the allocations they've made in the 2024 budget. Kojo Kuma, the former information minister, has been leading this charge for the minority.
Your budget, even the one that you brought, your budget, it betrays your priorities. You see, like they say, don't tell me what your priorities are. Show me your budget, and I will see what you value. This budget that you have brought is a budget in which you have told us, first of all, that you value Ghanaian women so much that you are going to set up a bank for them, the Women's Development Bank. You have put $51 million allocation, 51 million cedis, 51 million cedis allocation in this budget for the Women's Development Bank. And then you have put 70 million cedis for research at Jubilee House. You see your priorities? The budget is beginning to betray your priorities. You give all of the women in Ghana who are looking for this bank 51 million, and then you give research at the office of the president 70 million Ghana cedis. You are beginning to see your priorities. Honorable Deputy Minister,
You told us that something has happened that's never happened. The president has gone to negotiate minimum wage. How much? 10%. By the way, the previous administration did way better, 25% plus. But while you are increasing minimum wage by 10%, you have increased the compensation budget at the Office of Government Machinery by over 720%. Hey. Over 720%. This is what the leader of the minority said, that very soon we will see the true colors of the umbrella. You see, your priorities are beginning to show. You need not less than about 1 billion Ghana cedis to close the infrastructure gap within senior high schools. You say you don't have fiscal space, you don't have money for it, but you have found 4.1 billion cedis to buy gold. Gold that was being bought from liquidity that was being brought into the jurisdiction by foreign companies that wanted to buy the gold. Now you want to take taxpayers' money, 4 billion Ghana cedis, to go and buy gold. Are you seeing your priorities now? You have made available 100 million Ghana cedis for capital expenditure at the Office of Government Machinery. What are you buying there? More cars or what?
Kweku, what has been the majority's reaction to that?
The Deputy Finance Minister himself, Evans, Thomas Ampemyako, was on the floor. And he says that contrary to the points that have been covered by Kojo Ponkuma, the allocations that have been made by the Finance Minister in the budget is to spur economic growth.
Mr. Speaker, this budget has been described by many Ghanaians as a very sensible budget. And the more you criticize this budget, the more you show your ignorance about what we really need to do as Ghanaians to fix your mess. Mr. Speaker, I have heard the former finance minister, and Dr. Amin Anta, please stay and listen to this. I have heard him suggest that, Mr. Speaker, we have reduced the amount of allocation that we have given to goods and services. And because of that, we do not intend to grow this economy. I was shocked to hear him say that. Because, Mr. Speaker, what he failed to realize, that yes, in 2024, they allocated 11.5 billion cedis for goods and services. We have reduced that to 6.9 billion. But they allocated 14.7 for capex. We have allocated 21 billion cedis for capital expenditure. Between goods and services and capital expenditure, which one will help the economy grow? Which one will help the economy grow? Somebody says they like chop. Mr. Speaker, our approach is to invest in capital expenditure to expand the productive capacity of this country. That is what will bring the growth that we need, and not goods and services. In any case, what did you spend the goods and services on? Was it not on the purchases of vehicles, computers, and others? We want to construct roads. We want to construct schools. We want to do the things that will bring the growth that we need in this country.
And Kweku, so it is no longer a motion, it is a statement. Will there still be a vote on the budget at the end of this?
No, at the end of this, that MPs have been doing they'll be doing over the next few days. It will not be a decision, but what MPs will be required to take a vote on will be the estimates that have since been referred to the various committees of the House. They will all come back and report to the House as to whether or not they approve the estimates for the various departments and agencies. If they do or they do not, that will be subject to a vote. But the budget itself will not be subject to a vote. And so we will no longer see the phenomenon of rejections of the entirety of the budget as we saw last 2 years around the time the E-levy was a big conversation in Parliament.
Kweku, thank you very much. Still live here on News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, 3 teachers for an entire school at Sachilbo DA Primary in the northern region. Classrooms meant for one grade now hold 3. Some lie on the floor to write. Others struggle to follow lessons meant for different grade levels. Teachers say they've had enough. It's time for fairness. Emmanuel Jivenu has more in our education series, Crumbling Start.
If you're happy and you know, clap your hands.
Education, often hailed as the foundation of the future, is falling apart in this farming community. At Sechulbo DA Basic School, the earlier stages of learning have become a struggle no child should endure.
We are 3 professional teachers in the school year. With that number, we divided the classes, the grades into 3. So we have divided them into 3. KG 1, 2, and Basic 1 in one class. P2, P3 in another class. P4, P5, and 6. But we are not finding things easy. It's very difficult for us. But you okay, man?
Multi-grade teaching is not a choice here. It is a necessity, one that compromises the quality of education.
Frankly speaking, we have not been fair. We have never been fair to these young children. The children are suffering. How can a child sit on the floor to write? Some even we have to buy mats for them to be able to sit so that they will be a little bit clean.
The recent delivery of textbooks to Sachilbo DA Basic School offers little solace when the lack of desk leaves these books vulnerable to wear and tear.
With the textbook, these children, they are young. They are not like grown up like us. We can handle, we can hold and write. They are small. We are teaching them. But with the textbook, how would they write? So at least they should come to our aid.
The school feeding program is a lifeline for education, providing meals that boost enrollment, keep children in school, and help them focus on learning. Unfortunately, pupils at Sachilbo DA Basic School go through their day on empty stomachs, with hunger competing against education and causing enrollment to decline.
The school feeding, which will have also helped to increase the enrollment, I and my head, we applied. Still, we have not had any information about it. We're also planning to even mobilize ourselves to see if the community can help. Then we'll do some gardening for the school. When we harvest, then we'll be using it to do porridge for the children in the morning. That will also help them to come.
And I doubt how a class 1 child can learn class 3 subjects. And they all learn the same thing. So it means the lower ones are being polluted because they can not even pronounce 2-letter words. How can they be writing the sentence to read the whole sentence?
Claire, please pay attention.
For these children, the future seems uncertain. Poor infrastructure and inadequate staff have created a crisis that demands urgent intervention. These children represent the promise of tomorrow, but without desks to sit on, classroom to learn in, or food to sustain them, how can they carry the weight of a nation's future? It is time to act. It is time to make fairness a reality for every child in Ghana. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Sachilbo, Northern Region.
And my name is Evan Spencer. I've been joined by George Riafe, who has the very latest from the world of business. And George, yesterday you gave us an indication about the reduction in the price of petroleum products at the pumps.
Yeah.
The key question was whether or not we were going to get a mass of OMCs who would follow suit and reduce their prices.
Yeah.
You are now reporting that we're getting a bit more oil marketing companies following suit.
The market leader goal has gone down, and the other top or major oil marketing firms are also going down. Today, the second biggest player in the industry also went down as well. But they are concerned about the margin of reduction. We'll be hearing from the Association of Oil Marketing Companies about this claim and even the time that they take to respond to this expected reduction at the pumps. And also the Finance Minister, Dr. Attoforson, vows to work closely with the Bank of Ghana to firmly stabilize the city in coming months with some fresh measures. The business news on Newsnights is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials, Interstanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
Brush your teeth every day and night, up and down and all around, but the feeling bright. Brush your teeth, brush with mom and dad, underneath and in between, brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
For 10 times stronger teeth.
This advert is FDA approved.
Your preferred retirement partner, Apex Trustee, offers you an unmatched pension administration service that guarantees a cheerful life of retirement for both formal and informal sector workers. Our Progress Occupational Pension Scheme, the Progress Provident Fund Scheme, and the Progress Personal Pension Scheme will help you achieve financial peace of mind during retirement. Apex Trustee provides employer-sponsored schemes, including staff welfare schemes, seeking to outsource the day-to-day administration of their second-tier occupational pension and third-tier Provident Fund schemes. Start the quality lifestyle journey you envisage for your retirement now. Call us on 0504 368048 or 0256 793330. Apex Trustee, a joyous retirement begins here.
Hey, dear New sir. Stay soft concentrate fabric softener. I was such it move. Just send it this way. You hear my tina watch. New yarn it's now watch. No, be a baby, someone some demoni in us. Dear New say. Fair quiet, yes, in Biara Association Ontario. Use Stay Soft and New yarn it's now watch. Nani boss to tap from cry. A fabric softener. And yen near says, sir. Choose to Stay Soft. No, who's so say, no. FDIG a dreading crowd to yet.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight, and we'll be getting you more details about how some oil marketing companies are reducing prices of petroleum products on the market. Now, more oil marketing firms are reducing prices of petroleum products at the pumps. Now, there's a latest where another major oil player, that is Star, has actually gone down on the market. There is more in the following Business Desk report.
Star Oil is selling a litre of petrol at 14 cedis, 37 pesos, while diesel is going for 15 cedis, 27 pesos. It is coming after market leader Grow reviewed its prices effective this morning, while another major player, Total Energies, also went down yesterday afternoon. However, their margin of reduction for the various products is just under 2%. Some industry watchers, on the other hand, have raised questions about the margin of reduction. This is because, based on an internal industry data, prices should have gone down by more than 4% per litre for the various products. These players have also raised questions about the time taken for the oil marketing companies to adjust their values. This is because the oil companies should have reviewed their prices on Sunday, March 16, 2025. However, most of them started reviewing their prices from Monday afternoon, March 17, 2025. Since February 16, 2025, this is the third time that we have witnessed reduction in price of petroleum products at the pumps. Some have argued that if this trend should continue, it could open the doors for some discussions for transport fares to be reduced in the coming weeks. Also, it will impact the cost of living and food prices as well.
And that is a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies have justified the time taken for reviewing prices of petroleum products at the pumps. Oil firms should have started reviewing prices at the pumps from March 16, 2025. However, most of them just started adjusting prices from yesterday afternoon. However, Chief Executive of the Chamber, Dr. Revison Opon, says some regulatory issues has affected the timelines for these adjustments.
When NPA brought the floor price policy, what happens is that before any member changes the price to any other level, you need to inform the regulator 24 hours before you do that. Failure to do that warrant penalties. I'm a bit surprised that when fuel price go up and we predict and it's true, and indeed it's supposed to start on a particular Monday, members don't quickly change it on that Monday. They go the same Tuesday and sometimes even Wednesday, because you need to write to NPA that you're changing your price from X to Y before you do that. And I'm very much surprised that people don't see that, but they see the fact that there's a day delay when it comes to that. But let me also explain something. Imagine you go and buy product at X last week, and this week there's a call for reduction. Answer to yourself. Are you going to be reluctant reducing the price because you're still going to pay at the old price, or you're going to wait and sell the old stock?
Chief Executive of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Revison Opon. Now, Finance Minister Dr. Atufosson has vowed to work closely with the Bank of Ghana and implement some fresh measures to help stabilize the Ghana cedi. Finance Minister gave this assurance when he addressed Parliament today on some development in the economy.
And this includes the establishment of the Ghana Gold Board to enhance the generation foreign currency to help the central bank accumulate enough forex and to intervene as and when they are supposed to intervene. The Bank of Ghana will also continue the implementation of its FX forward action to support the stability of the Ghana cedi. The government is also front-loading its fiscal consolidation through expenditure reduction, and we believe that will also help in the support of the Ghana cedi. Speaker, aside, we are also planning, as part of the 24-hour economy, to introduce a number of measures which will be announced to Parliament in the coming days.
Finance Minister Dr. Atufosson. Let's still stay in Parliament because the former Minister of Finance, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has maintained that the 2025 budget lacks credibility. He has been commenting on the economic policy of this administration in Parliament today.
Mr. Speaker, the credibility issues in this budget are due to inconsistencies between the budget text, the text of the budget, and which constitute the meat of the budget. It's also because of the underfunding of priority initiatives. Almost all the priority initiatives of the government, whether it is Nkoko Nkitiki, Nkitinkiti, whether it is Ajuma, whether it is the National Apprenticeship Program, they are all relying on the vote for goods and services. But the goods and services vote, Mr. Speaker, is heavily underfunded in this budget. If you look at appropriation, allocation of 6.9 billion Ghana cedis has been provided. But if you go to the appendices to see the specific expenditure allocation to the various MDAs, goods and services total 22 billion Ghana cedis.
Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam is the former Minister of Finance. Now, the executive director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Kote, is opposing government decision to scrap the betting tax. Now, Finance Minister Dr. Forson in the 2025 budget announced the removal of some 5 taxes, including the betting tax. But speaking at the post-2005 budget review in Accra, he noted that government should rather redirect these taxes into impactful youthful development programs rather than eliminating them.
2021, we are told road toll brings us 72 million. Betting tax is around 140 million. Now, we want to introduce road toll, which is lower, and give out betting tax, which gives more. I know the young ones who bet will not be happy with me, but I, for one, I am against this thing. Betting, you've earned income, and you are paying something, and you say it should be free. And because of votes and populism, we allow this. People want to turn betting into a way of work, like employment. No, tax and use the money to develop something for the youth, the young ones. This is not a sustainable thing.
Professor Peter Kote is the Executive Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research. If you were a shareholder of City General today, share price went up by a peso to close at 1 Ghana cedi 59 pesos. That also of Standard Chartered Bank also saw a marginal increase at the end of trading today, and also that of SIC was also up by 3 pesos to close at 42 pesos. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
John, thank you very much. You're still live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, the Energy Minister is raising against time to avert a shutdown of a number of power plants by some independent power producers. Already, 5 power plants are down, with many producing below capacity. Amidst power cuts, residents in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, who have endured irregular power supply for some weeks, say they are eagerly awaiting an immediate and permanent solution to the situation following an assurance by the Energy Minister yesterday. Let's go live now to the Ashanti regional capital, and let's speak to my colleague who has been monitoring the power situation there on the back of yesterday's assurance by John Junapo. Hemingteria, what's the update? Hello, Heming, can you hear me? We'll get Heming on the line, hopefully with his attention with us. But the Energy Minister, John Junapo, and the West African Gas Pipeline, WAPCO, today met on how to resolve the pending debts on the books. Providing an update on the power situation in Kumasi, Mr. Junapo said that the Finance Minister has approved $10 million for the payment of the debts owed WAPCO.
The Minister of Finance, Honorable Christian has approved a payment of $10 million to WAPCO, and he has requested that it should be fast-tracked. So what that means is that once that $10 million is paid, then WAPCO will open the pipeline so we can flow gas from the west to the east. As it stands, they've limited the flow to just about 55, 60. But if we pay, we can push it to 90. The benefit of that is that we'll no longer be procuring liquid fuels, which are about 4 times the price of gas. And so let me thank the Minister of Finance, Honorable Forson, for this prompt action to appeal to WAPCO that if they could open the pipeline for us today, take my word, the money will hit the account in no time. But we urgently need the pipeline to open. If the pipeline doesn't open, it constrains the delivery of power, because the Tema plants in Tema, you'll be paying capacity for not using them. You'll also be paying capacity on gas for not using the gas. And at the same time, you'll be buying liquid fuel, which is 4 times the price of gas. And so they should take my word, kindly open the pipeline so we can flow gas from Takoradi to Tema.
And in terms of stability of power in Kumasi, yesterday you assured that the residents should breathe a sigh of relief. Today,
I got from men on the field indicate that the power has been very stable since yesterday, and they've transferred all the load to the 145 MVA plant. And so we should see a much significant improvement in power delivery within the Kumasi enclave. We'll keep monitoring. Normally, when you commission a new plant, it takes a bit of time to be certain that the plant is working. And so they should bear with us if there's any unforeseen circumstance. But we don't expect any major disruption.
Let's go to Hemingteria now in the Ashanti regional capital. Ohemi, we just heard the minister say the power situation there is now stable following the interventions rolled out, which he commissioned yesterday. Can you confirm that?
Yes, Evans, I can confirm that, yes, power supply in the region has been very, very stable. there has been some improvement. Just that this afternoon, between the afternoon and this time, I've been monitoring, and there have been some few pockets of power outages, especially in the Ejuso area and then around Obuasi as well. So I would say that it is true that if you compare the situation between last week and last Sunday and this time, I would say that the situation has improved tremendously. When you go to Facebook and other social media platforms, you hardly hear people complain about these incessant power outages as they witnessed in the few days ago.
Thank you very much. And the minister also gave the following updates that some independent power producers are threatening to shut down their plants following debts owed them.
Yes, some of the IPPs have threatened to shut down, but some of them even shut down. We had to appeal to them because the debt we've inherited, it is just impossible to pay all the debts at a go. You can only structure it and have a payment plan. And so we've been engaging them and appealing to them, even as we make due some of the payment. Some have come around the table. Some are still taking a very difficult position. For instance, Car Power is threatening and indicating that their bill goes beyond $400 million. And so they want a certain bullet payment. But you need to mobilize the revenue in order to pay. So we'll continue to work with them. So far, we still have enough supply to meet demand. But we must work extra hard. Other than that, we're going to run into very serious challenges going forward.
Well, are you in Ashanti region tonight? I want to hear from you right after sports. I will share a few of your thoughts with the rest of the world and give me what your experience has been since interventions were rolled out and commissioned yesterday. Let's do sports now. Ms. Bao is joining me with the very latest. What do you have in the headlines, Ms. Bao?
Yeah, events. Well, the Black Stars holding their second training session at the Craft Sports Stadium. Remember, it started yesterday. There were just about 9 players reported yesterday. Today, they have full complement of the squad. 23 players, including the new captain of the team, Jordan Ayew, alongside returning Thomas Partey, and the likes of Mohamed Kudus have all reported to camp and training for the first game in the World Cup qualifier for this match window against Chad on Friday. The Craft Sports Stadium, that game will take place, and they'll play Madagascar later on Tuesday. Well, we'll bring you, more on that. But the Minister for Sports has been speaking, and he's been emphasizing that the team is committed and, in fact, ready to deliver the results come Friday.
For me, I've seen the players that they are motivated themselves. It is not money. If it's about money, many of them already are earning more than whatever it is that we are going to give them. So it is not about the money. What they want are good pitches, a good pitch to be able to play on, and that we are working on. The lighting system appropriate, we are working on. And we're making sure that they have all the technical departments to be able to support the analysis of the opponents and the rest. We have worked on that also. So since that must be done for them to have a good environment to perform, we have put all those things in place.
That's Minister for Sports and Recreation there, Honorable Kofi Adams. The Black Stars will train again tomorrow, Wednesday, and will train again on Thursday before the game on Friday against Chad. Well, just going through, just tickets are as low as 10 Ghana cedis. 10 Ghana cedis you can get to watch the Black Stars game on Friday events.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bao. And let's stay with the issues surrounding the Iran-Tech power supply and the challenge with the valves at WAPCO. They haven't been turned on fully because we owe them. We've just heard from the Energy Minister, who says the Finance Minister just today approved $10 million for the payment of the debts owed WAPCO. Let's speak to the General Manager in charge of Corporate Affairs at WAPCO, Dr. Isaac Doku, joins us on the line right now. Thank you, sir, for your time here on Newsnight. Can you confirm the outcome of this meeting today with the Finance Minister?
Yes, good evening to your cherished listeners. Yeah, it's been a very constructive meeting. I wasn't present at the meeting, but I know that the meeting took place and we received the confirmation through the Honorable Minister of Energy that has been done for us. And so we have taken the necessary steps to remove the restrictions on the western flow.
So as we speak tonight, the restrictions are all gone. The gas is flowing fully.
Yes, we have giving the instructions to the operations team to remove the restrictions. So they will link up with Greco. Greco is a systems operator. So they'll link up with them, and the amount of flows that Greco need, I think Greco will tell the system operators, and they'll sure. But the system operators know that the restriction has been lifted.
And this is in good faith as you anticipate the money that has been approved to hit your accounts.
It's in good faith, and also we've seen evidence of it. That yes, it's not hit our account, but we've seen the evidence that the steps have been taken to effect the payment.
I'm grateful. Thank you very much. That there is the General Manager in charge of Corporate Affairs at WAPCO, Dr. Doku, joining us with the very latest on the situation with WAPCO. So the gas is flowing fully now, and there should be a bit more gas now available to power many of the plants that ordinarily had gone down because of the curtailment of that excess gas that we needed to power plants to provide you electricity. And many of you are joining us with your thoughts now and giving me your own experiences where you are. I'll be sharing those with you pretty shortly. You're still live, your News Night is on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, the Small Arms Commission and Light Weapons, they have launched an all-out crackdown in Boko, Walensea, and other volatile areas, vowing to root out illegal weapons and dismantle criminal networks. The move follows the killing of a military officer in Boko and recent clashes in Nanumba South. The commission revealed that they have taken receipt of they have actually taken delivery of state-of-the-art weapon detectors that will soon be deployed to these areas. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Adams Bonner, says swift disarmament is key to reducing conflicts, and they will enforce this.
I didn't know the challenges were enormous, but the president, before my appointment, they say, I need you to go there and we'll support you to do everything it takes to collect weapons that are in the hands of hoodlums, that are in the hands of wrong people, so that the needless killings we are seeing would stop. And we are the only organization in the country that has a weapons detection system, scanner. This system detects only weapons. So you can actually bury a weapon in the soil, deep down the soil, and it will pick it. It won't pick anything, just a weapon. We are the only organization that has this particular equipment. And if you have heard my minister speak in some of his, statements, he has promised, and the president has promised, that they are going to be equipping us with more of this weapon detection systems. They are very expensive, but we have one that was donated to us by the German government. And so one of the things we are doing is to operationalize our activities. And so it shouldn't take too long. You are going to see us on your streets. You are going to see us in your backyard with our weapon detection system, scanning areas or scanning vehicles to be able to pick up weapons that are hidden in vehicles. The usual scanner, metal scanner, cannot detect a weapon, but this only detects a weapon. And so if you had a weapon here, in this building, in this hotel, wherever this weapon is, the system is able to detect it. And we are the only organization in the country that has it. Through the German government, we have it. And the government of Ghana has promised to give us more. And so we are going out there with this system to try and track down some of these persons who are holding these weapons that they shouldn't have. And one of the things is regulation. You can't stop the conflict in Boko if the weapons remain there. There's no way. You can't stop it. You can do all the advocacy. But if you don't go in there with technology to collect weapons, the Israelis have done that. They even use drones that are able to detect where weapons are stored and they blast it. So we might not have all this the technology in terms of drone that can scan. But
Adams Bonner there heads the Small Arms Commission. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. This one says, here in Osuhas, I believe in the Ashanti region, been a daily power outage. As I speak, there is still no light since morning. This has been a rampant thing. It says Doomso, he believes is back. And this one has no name. In Aglonga, right? Lashibi. He says look at how the former finance minister Mohammed Amin Adam struggled to explain how they use the consolidated funds. Are pretty much, he says, posterity will judge this MPP government and its leadership. Teddy says we may want to go to the Ivorian way. Over there, they're called forestry police. They are well trained and armed. They live in the forest and take no prisoners. They run a shift and are present in the forest all the time. And that's his response to the top story we did today on the LI that allows for mining in forest reserves. So live here on Newsnight on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, former Deputy Majority Leader and MP for Dom Kwabenya, Sarah Adwoa-Safo, has for the first time opened up about her decision to abstain from voting on the electronic transfer levy in 2022. That's the e-levy. In an exclusive interview on Ekusi Sang on Asempa FM, Adwoa-Safo said she has no regrets about her action. Adwoa-Safo also spoke about accusations by her colleagues that she voted for Alban Babing to become Speaker of Parliament, describing the backlash against her as a coordinated smear campaign.
Carlos had to do something, and he suffered it because of that. Sanki we knew na Carlos no kwatete no na say no. Ade na ekoso no so na enye e ba out say mo number say esi no cry enim guase enti e say okono koye bibi na akoye say ade no cry ento e. Ah. And enye sa aba no so na declare speaker as Speaker of Parliament. Enti commotion ni ba ye no. Na wo say ye to aba ne foforo. But na e ko akoduru be 3-4 am. Yes, I there was consensus. It is the namusa Adwoa-Safo na di bagmen by. Inti yes abesa obi line about 4 am. Yes sir, ena one yen so a constitution ni mu no ebe creative vacuum. Yeah.
Well, she says there was actually consensus, even on the MPP side, that they should vote for Alban Babing. Catch more of that interview on our many social media platforms. That's it for Newsnight tonight. I guess what's coming up next, Geek Squad, and Peps is here with the very latest. Hello, Peps. What should we look forward to tonight?
Still Ghana Month. We want to discuss a group of people here in Ghana who are putting together our history and Nancy stories in animation. Not just that, quite a number of things. So we'll be having a discussion.
That's actually exciting. I mean, think about it. The Anansi story is similar to Peter Pan, similar to which other stories famous around the world. So if you go to the UK, for example, one of the things that when I took my kids there, they really wanted to go and watch is the Wizard. You know that
Wicked. Lovely. Is it the movie?
Yes. And they've really commercialized it. So you wonder, that could be something that we could do with Anansi, right? The Anansi story is really captivating one, but we haven't really even scratched the surface of that.
That's so true.
So yes, of course, interesting conversation. It could actually be the next Spider-Man.
You know,
right?
Spider-Man is Africa.
Yeah, Spider-Man is a big deal.
Yes.
But Anansi isn't Spider.
Actually.
Exactly. Look at what Spider-Man is doing around the world. The kids want the Spider-Man memorabilia.
Exactly.
Some form of, a shirt of.
Even birthday themes and all that. There are cakes.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure you've done one for one of your kids or somebody who's close to you. How much money we can make from that? So that's a good conversation to have indeed. You want to stay tuned for that here on Joy 99.7 FM.